Samarkand is full of traditional and highly attractive spots, which are basically the historical architectural monuments. These are very beautifully decorated, planned, and interconnected with each other. Local visitors usually follow the calm paths and move quietly. Many people travel from the longer distances and they do visit such places as a matter of respect and faith. You will often see older men wearing traditional skull caps and loose but simple clothing, while women frequently wear colorful dresses and headscarves. Their attire reflects a Central Asian modesty and cultural continuity. Even younger locals tend to dress more conservatively here compared to other parts of the city. It is just out of respect for the religious environment. Families visit together such places, grandparents, parents, and children walking slowly through the courtyard. Elders often explain the history of these monuments, while the younger generation, pointing to the domes, inscriptions, and massive portals, observe the beauty and elegance of these architectural masterpieces. This shows how heritage is passed down through storytelling rather than formal education alone. Now, observe this path. We are basically heading to Bibi Khanam complex, that is, in other words, called as Golden Gate or the Gate to the Paradise, due to its wonderful architecture, serene environment, and its elegant structure. While traveling on this path from the central part of Samarkand, you will observe that local sit quietly along the path, reflecting or praying. Others gently touch the soft corners and find some peaceful place for taking the rest. Their movements are wonderful, creating a peaceful rhythm that contrasts with the curiosity of foreign tourists. Foreign tourists are highly respected and they are welcomed, though Samarkand people are considered to be conservative, but practically they are very liberal, always ready to help you, to give you the company, to listen important things about you, about your culture, and many more things. You just need to settle somewhere. If you have the time, it is highly recommended that while walking on this path to Bibi Khanam complex, spare some time, sit and observe the daily life pattern of Samarkand people. It is a very calm and highly cool environment, and one often feels that one should stay here for longer period of time. Remember that local people are warm and approachable. If visitors show interest, they may smile, greet politely, or even share small pieces of historical knowledge. This reflects the long standing Central Asian tradition of hospitality and openness to the guests. While walking, it is not just to cover the distance quickly, but enjoy the serene environment and architecture along this road. You will observe that how locals carefully maintain cleanliness and order. They discourage loud talking or careless behavior, especially from children, reinforcing the idea that historical and religious sites must be protected through everyday manners. Now we are getting close to the complex, and you can see the elegant structure from here. The directions, you will find a wonderful experience of the tourism.
Здравствуйте, девушка, пожалуйста, где Шахи Зинда?
Şarkısında.
А,
Kechirasiz.
Биби Ханым.
Ha.
Ha.
Tog'ga borasiz.
Да.
Потом налево.
А, налево. Хорошо.
И идите много.
Много.
дорога.
А, дорога. Большое спасибо. Большое спасибо.
Here we are now approaching to the mausoleum of Bibi Khanum. Historically, she is considered to be the most prominent and highly influential wife of Amir Tamur. And it is said that during his expeditions, especially to India, all the matters relating to the administration, construction, and the matters important to the central government were controlled by Bibi Khanum. She constructed wonderful mosques, madrasas, and many such architectural monuments which were basically used for the public welfare. And that is why Uzbekistan people are proud of Amir Tamur and Bibi Khanum. The term reflects that it is not merely a monument of Tamur era, rather, it remains a living symbol of faith, memory, and cultural pride. It is preserved not only by stone walls but by quiet traditions of the people who continue to visit this place. Now, we are moving to the complex. It is considered to be a madrasa as well as a grand mosque. It was administered, constructed, designed, and patronized by Bibi Khanum on the directions or the wishes of Amir Tamur. The complex was built between 1399 to 1405 on the orders of Amir Tamur after his campaign in India. Basically, it was intended to symbolize the power, wealth, and artistic brilliance of his empire and to rival the greatest Islamic monuments of the world. Temur dedicated the complex to his senior wife, that is Khanum Bibi, commonly known as Bibi Khanum, who belonged to the royal lineage of Yanish Khan. The architectural layout is wonderful. The complex followed the traditions of Persian and Central Asian mosques. You can observe a vast rectangular courtyard surrounded by arcaded galleries. A monumental central portal rising like a gateway to the sky. You can see how wonderfully it is reflecting the grandeur and power of Temur era. There is also a main domed sanctuary opposite to the entrance. So it is recommended that if you wish to enjoy the beauty and elegance of this architecture, not only observe the minute designs or the artwork on the face of this gate, but also have a wonderful look surrounding the monument. Smaller tombs, halls, and madrasas around the courtyard are the wonderful beauty inside this architectural masterpiece. It is recommended that you wander around if you wish to enjoy each and every part of this monument. Now let's we bypass and we start walking around the walls. You can observe a wonderful design, somewhere calligraphy, tile work, and the design patterns, or somewhere you will observe miniature paintings or a wonderful representation by different styles of mosaics. It is very beautiful to observe such type of things in detail. Keep walking around the external walls, and it will just take around 10 to 15 minutes to cover that a boundary, and you will find a lot of information and a satisfaction regarding the history, art, and architecture of that era. One of the most remarkable features was the double shell dome construction. The inner dome created a harmonious interior space. The outer dome was taller and more visible from afar, giving the structure its iconic reflection. This engineering technique later influential architectural across Central Asia and even Mughal India. You see, there are different side gates which have their own specification and utility. It is said that the surfaces and the walls were covered with cobalt blue tiles. Geometric patterns were designed further by developing different techniques, and somewhere experiments were performed in order to have a beautiful look. Especially Quranic calligraphy in monumental script is considered to be very prominent in this era. It is said that historical records prove that the complex, that is basically the combination of a mosque and madrasa, was once accompanied by a grand central work forming a symmetrical architectural ensemble. This madrasa was later destroyed, possibly during later invasions and earthquakes, but it was renovated, erected, and designed on the same pattern as it was in its original form. It is said that the madrasa served as a center for Islamic education, and somewhere it is said that it was also used for teaching the tactical and war courses. It is considered to be a place for scholars and students to live and study near the mosques. After making around the complex, now we are heading towards the main gate again, and that is basically you can see how beautifully preserved this monument is. The complex represents the glory of the Timur Empire, and also it is said that Timur's devotion to Islam. He is considered to be very respectful for a royal lineage through his wife. It also symbolized Samarkand's transformation into a world capital of art, science, and architecture. Soon after completion, because its enormous size pushed the limits of contemporary engineering. It later faced some problems, and especially during the earthquake in 1897, and was heavily restored in the 20th century, and recently it is near completion. Today, the restored complex stands as one of the most impressive monuments of Samarkand and a key highlight alongside Registan, that is Shahi Zinda. Like most madrasas of Central Asia, the building was organized around a large open courtyard. This courtyard served as the heart of the madrasa, where students gathered, discussed lessons, and moved between different rooms. The space was surrounded by arched galleries that provided shade during the hot summer of Samarkand. Everything was done to enhance the grandeur and mighty of this monument. Now look how wonderful this architecture looks. Now let us we enter into it. It's a marvelous. You are provided every sort of facility. Translators, guides are readily available. But if you know a little bit Russian and English, you don't need any sort of extra support. Now, see the boundaries or boundary walls. Along the sides of the courtyard, there were small rooms called hujras. These were simple but functional. Each room housed one or two students. They contained sleeping space, storage, and sometimes small study desks. It is a modern day hostel. These rooms formed a quiet academic environment where students memorized texts, read religious works, and prepared for discussions with teachers. It was a wonderful environment at that time. There were very organized lecture halls and teaching spots in the form of classrooms. The madrasa included larger vaulted halls where scholars delivered lectures on fiqh, theology, Arabic grammar, literature, history, the art of government, the strategic studies, the interstate relations, and many other subjects were very common. That is why it is said that most of the students later played a very important administrative and a technical role for the development of Uzbek society. Although the madrasa was primarily an educational institution, or you can call it as the university of that time, but it was richly decorated in Timurid style. Inside, there were glazed tiles panels with geometric and floral designs. There are Quranic inscriptions in elegant calligraphy. There are also painted plaster ceilings with star and vine patterns. These decorations reflected the same artistic excellence seen in monuments built during the reign of Amir Timur, emphasizing that education and beauty were closely linked in Timur culture. Inside the madrasa, also, you observe the atmosphere where there has been a very strict discipline and scholarly environment. The students followed a daily routine of prayers at the nearby mosque. There were study sessions and recitations. Debates and discussions in the courtyard. This made the madrasa not just a school but a complete intellectual community, closely connected to the spiritual life of the mosque complex. You can observe several other high arcs comparable to the entrance arcs. And there are also domed chambers resting on cylindrical drums. Now look the elegant woodwork design that enhances the beauty and charm of a wonderful architectural inscriptions. It gives a soft and graceful appearance compared to the massive domes of any other spot. You can observe several marble designs are arranged along the walls. The central part is believed to belong to the special person that is referred to as Bibi Khanam, while others belong to royal women of the Timurid dynasty. The interior once contained painted decorations, inscriptions, and glazed tiles that created a magical environment. It is highly recommended that spare some time and wander around and see every part of this complex. You will find the glory of Timurid Empire and his stronghold in the government, and especially his role as a influential person in Uzbek society. Such types of buildings inside the complex reflect the aesthetic sense of the designers, and it also reflects the perfection of craftsmanship. It is said that not only the craftsmen but also the material was collected from far off places, and it was designed in a very well planned manner. The specialists were consulted who added their experience into the finishing. On the side, we observe some platforms. Here, it is said that these are basically different stages or the platforms which had some sort of special functions, just like making the students or the soldiers to line up here and find the directives of the higher authorities. Now, this is the most sacred place inside the madrasa. You can enjoy the elegance and the sacred belonging of Uzbek people who do come here. At this place, very sacred objects are placed, and people find the deep relation and association of their faith with that object. That is also the place where you can take a rest for a while. Inside, the environment is very calm, relaxed, and highly spiritual. So, it is recommended to enjoy it thoroughly. In the evening, the beauty of the complex becomes softer, more poetic, and deeply atmospheric. As the sun begins to set over Samarkand, the massive domes slowly change color, shifting from bright blue to shades of violet, rose, and gold. The last rays of sunlight strike the tall entrance portal and the ribbed domes of the mosque, highlighting the intricate mosaic patterns. The glazed tiles catch the fading light and shimmer gently. The complex looks especially graceful in the evening, unlike the grand and imposing mosques. The main structure appears calm and intimate. Its smaller domes glow softly against the darkening sky, and the silence around it creates a reflecting mood. Visitors often lower their voice as the place feels more like a sacred resting place at this hour. As twilight deepens, the blue tiles gradually turn into darker shades, almost merging with the sky. The white marble elements begin to stand out more clearly, and the geometric patterns appear sharper in the dim light. This contrast between shadows and colors gives the architecture a mysterious and timeless charm. In the evening, the complex feels less like a crowded monument and more like a silent witness. Now come to Russian lesson 51. That is again basically the, we are going to use adjectives and nouns according to these situations. That is why it is said that that is basically the continuity of previous lessons. One, здесь богатая архитектура. Two, я смотрю на великолепный портрет. Porto. Three, сегодня солнечный день. Four, сейчас прохладный вечер. Five, здесь дружелюбные люди. Six, я вижу интересных туристов. Seven, это древний город. Eight, отсюда прекрасный вид. Nine, здесь узкие улицы. 10, это чистая площадь. So in this way, you see that basically You have learned many lessons or the sentences previously. So keep repeating and improving your Russian language skill.